Hi, this is Amy from the Alti Store. We are back with yet another edition of Alti Store at Home. And once again, we've got Ben Farmer with us showing off some of his projects that he's got around the house. Hey, Ben.
Hey, Amy.
So we are going to show today his battery backup system.
Yeah. So in 2015, I installed that grid tie 10.2 kilowatt system I showed you. And I had an XW5548 from my my previous move that I hadn't been using, and I decided it was good to have a battery backup system for my home, since this home doesn't have any backup heating. It just has a regular natural gas furnace, and if I am to lose power, then I don't have a way of having my furnace still run. So I thought I'll just add a battery backup system, not solar based. Just pure battery backup in case I have one of those rare outages.
Fantastic. Okay, so kind of walk us through and show how the battery gets charged and how you're able to use this this backup system.
You got it. So what you see here is the Schneider XW5548 with the mini power distribution panel. Which is the inverter's disconnect with additional breakers. And then it is connected to the KiloVault HAB 7.5 lithium battery system.
Sweet.
In a basic flow, we are taking power from the grid via a double pole 60 amp breaker that's coming down this wire right here into the PDP to charge the batteries from the grid while we have power.
And actually, if it's a sunny day, that's actually probably solar power you're using.
Correct. Yes. And so it's a pretty simple setup. I have a main 250 amp breaker, which acts as the main disconnect between the inverter and the battery bank, just in case we do some servicing or disconnect it for any reason. We have a 60 amp breaker to act as the charging AC charger disconnect, which is what's keeping the batteries topped off. And then we have the grid bypass breaker system, which when in bypass, totally bypasses the inverter and runs the critical loads that I have connected to a critical loads panel directly without being inverted. And so typically what someone would have, they would have this operating mode out of bypass so that when the grid goes out, it seamlessly transitions to battery backup. But I like to know when the grid is out. I want to see my lights go out just so I know when to start doing the countdown, because I only have, well, I should say I have a lot of power, a 7.5 kilowatt hour battery backup system. But once that's discharged, that's all I have until the grid comes back up. So that's why I keep it in bypass, so I know when the grid's down my own train of thought.
Right. So if you did have solar connected to that, you wouldn't have to worry as much because the solar would be recharging it. But right now you have it strictly as battery backup, and it's getting its charges from the grid.
Exactly. And the other reason for that is this the grid I'm on here basically never loses power. I think we've lost power for a couple hours at one point. I thought this was just a nice economical way of providing the backup we needed.
So you showed us the AC in from the grid, and where is the AC out from the inverter going?
So the AC out is the bottom line here, coming out of the PDP, staking through. Underneath, it's not going through the breaker system, it's just transitioning through to my critical loads panel that I have right here. Basically an electrical sub panel.
Okay, and you've got your as you said, your furnace blower and your office there.
Yep, my office so I can keep working.
Nice.
Yep, so basic critical loads, not the stove, obviously not the dryer, refrigeration, lights. Yep, pretty much it.
The basics. Fantastic. And so if you were to want to add solar to that setup later, what would you need to do?
I'm one step ahead of you. an extra circuit for my Wiley Ace pass-through if I want to add more panels. And I have a breaker right here that's not in use to act as a charge controller disconnect. So if I want to add solar in the future, I add a charge controller, obviously another PV array, and now I can charge my backup system, and the excess can still go out to the grid because this inverter has that functionality.
Nice, fantastic. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to show us, and I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
And so this has been Amy and Ben at the Alti store. I hope you enjoyed this. If so, give us a like and a share, and be sure to go to our website at altistore.com, where we've been making renewable doable since 1999.